What's up? It's the Touchdown Hoedown. Week-long preview. It's Tuesday. It's time to start breaking down the Week 5 slate. There's no time to mess around. For all of you that don't know, we do this every Tuesday. We're going to keep these a little bit shorter. We're going to start keeping these 30 minutes because they're just a preview. But you know what we are going to start doing? Every Saturday, instead of making a video, we're going to start doing a live stream where you can be there and get your questions answered. It's been so popular with our Discord, and we helped smash Showdown last night at Monday Night Football so much that we realized that we need to just be there to answer people's questions. It makes for a better, more informative show. So be looking out for that Saturday night. I'll tweet it out, you motherfather, and I'll probably post it here on YouTube, so have your notifications on. What's up, new guy? I'm the Degenerate 75. I'm a high-limit DFS player. I have another friend on here named JohnGaltJD. He's also a high-limit DFS player, and we are here to help you not suck so bad at DFS, because this shit be hard. You should probably go give us a follow on Twitter, Degenerate75, or at JohnGaltJD, because the man's trying to grow his Twitter following. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday. We also do Showdown slate for Monday and Thursday Night Football. And then, of course, I do golf because if you don't know, I'm that golf guy. 2023 is the year I take over. So come check it out. Also, college football on Friday nights, but no one fucking watches that. So it's just like me and 7 people printing money. But, you know, do whatever. So without further ado, let's get going because we got goals to shorten this show. John, how are you feeling after winning $1 million at Showdown last night?
I mean, if only I had won $1 million at Showdown last night, I'd be feeling much better.
I'm pretty sure I saw you win the Millionaire Maker.
I in fact, did win the Millionaire Maker along with 231 other of my closest friends.
This is why you got to stop having so many friends, you motherfather. You got to split it with too many people.
But if you watched our Discord show, we basically ran through the nuts game script, and lots of people in the Discord put that lineup in some different contests, and like had some awesome screenshot sharing. So love to see that.
It was very good. It was a very good night. And the crazy thing is I would have been shopping that Millionaire Maker too if Gold doesn't miss that field goal with like 3 minutes. Then it would have been an even bigger train. There would have been 2 trains tied up top. Would have been gross.
That would have been gross.
So I missed my cut of whatever it was. Like, I guess by the time I would have split it, it probably would have been down to like $3,000 or $4,000, right?
Yep.
Pretty gross. All right. So normally what we do is we start with a slate review, but, like we look at the previous week, but there's not a whole lot that we want to talk about. I mean, if you don't know, basically here's the slate review in a nutshell. You had to stack the shit out of that Seattle-Detroit game, which was a very viable option. It had the second highest total, but if you didn't do that, you weren't going to get there this week. So there's not a lot of nuance to breaking down lineups. Basically, you had to stack the fuck out of that game. There you go. There's the slate breakdown. Do you have anything to add to that, John?
No, I mean, congrats to all the winners. There were some sweet lineups that won, but in terms of like GPP bro week, this just wasn't going to be a week that I was going to win. Jamal Williams got there as chalk. TJ Hawkinson got there as chalk. Yeah. And those are going to be slates like I just don't win. And even the plays that we thought we were getting at low ownership ended up getting steamed up. So, for instance, Penny was
that one hurt. We thought we were being so clever. Ownership. So clever. We weren't.
And then like Josh Jacobs, who was someone like I wasn't willing to play based on his projected ownership, he ended up coming in super low owned. And so like one takeaway that I've been trying to think away from last week, because like you said, it's kind of a slate I just want to move on and forget. But also I do want to at least like try to learn something from the slate. And like I guess what I would try to take away from that slate is now I've lost my whole train of thought, but Shit, can you remind me real quick where I was going with that point?
You were talking about like the Josh Jacobs, I think, was what you were going to make.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the ownership projections like that we were basing a lot of our plays on, right? We thought Penny was a good play because he was going to be low owned. We thought Jacobs was a bad play because he was going to be high owned. But then the opposite came in when the cards were rolled. And so like one thing I want to be thoughtful of next week or going forward in weeks is like when people start talking up these low-owned plays as like good GPP plays, we need to be aware that that ownership is going to get steamed up, and it's not necessarily going to be reflected in the ownership projections because those are being done, cumulatively throughout the week, and they're not necessarily getting updated for like that last-minute steam. But a lot of the shows on Saturday and Sunday were touting Penny as a good GPP play, and so for me, when I'm making my lineups, then to just completely go, yep, he's a good GPP play and plug him in, ignoring the fact that he was touted by like a large percentage of the industry. Yep. I should have known he wasn't going to come in at 5%, and I should have played accordingly. But instead I played him as if he was going to be 5% owned, and I would have never played him at 30%.
So it sounds like to me people need to watch the Saturday night stream and don't make your fucking lineups till you do, because we'll have an idea. We'll be listening to a lot of content and be aware of what we're going to say and understand that content providers do steam guys up, and it does move the needle needle on these guys. So don't be making your lineups until late Saturday night, preferably Sunday morning, especially after you watch our stream. Which, by the way, that Saturday night stream, you wanna win $1 million, motherfather? All you got to do. We're going to spin this wheel on the live stream Saturday night, and if you win, I'll probably do 2 because there's so many of you motherfathers that support the cause. You get to make a Millionaire Maker lineup with John and I. I'll buy it. You just get a free roll, and anything we hit profit-wise, we'll split 50-50. So $500,000 if you win, right? And every week we're getting some nice catches. Haven't hit the million yet, but I'd love to PayPal you $500,000. How do you get in this? Just go like and retweet this show over on Twitter. Or the easier way, because you're here on YouTube, just go drop down in the comments, what is the one sneaky game this week that you think might shoot out? That's all I want to know. In the comments, put that, and then my editor will go put your name on the wheel. Or you can go do it on Twitter, and you get on there twice. Let's get to this slate, John. We're keeping this show quick. We're gonna keep each of these games to about a minute and a half on thoughts, because it's just our first thoughts. Okay?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, here we go. So game number 1. We're gonna some first feels, and we're gonna talk. By the way, my first initial takeaway is notice not a single game has a 50-point total this week. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, there's some parity on that higher 40s, but for the most part, another kind of low scoring slate. It looks like,
and only one game below 42 and lower. So like a lot of like middle games. I feel like that leads to this could be a good sneaky week to attack some games that could shoot out that maybe people aren't considering. Right?
Exactly.
So, all right, let's get going. Tennessee and Washington. Is Carson Wentz the worst quarterback of all time, or is it Matt Ryan?
I don't know. I think my boy Baker would like to have a word with you.
Hey, you will not slander Baker on my show, you motherfather. That will not stand for it. All right, who are some guys from this game that initially are just sticking out to you? And is this a game that you're even interested in? I feel like any game with Washington's defense, you got to be interested in, right?
Yeah, so I'm not overly interested in this game. I think Treylon Burks ended up getting hurt. He's someone like I've wanted to try to get ahead of in terms of like rookie breakouts. I think Derrick Henry, if he's going to be low owned at 8,200, I think Derrick Henry is always interesting at low ownership and like an easy fade at higher ownership. So that's one I'll be checking out throughout the week. But Derrick Henry against like a pretty poor Washington defense is interesting.
What's your threshold for low ownership on Derrick Henry?
Single digits. I'd like to get Derrick Henry at like 5 or 6% ideally.
Exactly. Not a lot of pieces from this game. I got to tell you with Washington, yes, they usually come storming back and get a lot of garbage points in the second half, but they disperse the ball so much that it's really hard to even justify Samuel, McLaurin, Thomas. I get it. I get why you want to play these guys. I play them every fucking week, and I shouldn't. If they ever put 4 quarters together, they probably could feed all these mouths, but they don't. They only put 2 quarters together, so it's making me very reluctant to want to play any of these garbage-ass Redskins, even though they have very appealing prices.
Yeah, that's fair. J.D. McKissick's actually been getting pretty good work in trailing game scripts, so that's like a somewhat interesting if you think they just get blown out.
I got to tell you, man, I really hate playing those third down backs. But anyways, all right, this game, when I saw this total, this reminds me of my childhood, Pittsburgh versus Buffalo, because I was a Buffalo fan growing up. I would have been so excited for this game and be like, oh, it's going to be a slugfest. And now it's like, oh, Pittsburgh sucks. This is going to be a blowout. Tell me if I'm wrong with this take. Josh Allen is blowout proof. So often I want a quarterback that's going to be pushed by the other team because you need that to get those 350-yard passing games and 4 touchdowns. I don't think Josh Allen needs that. I think he's kind of like the old Tom Brady when they would be up 41-6 in the fourth quarter running play actions on motherfathers. Do you agree with that take, yes or no?
Yeah, and I also think because Buffalo has the highest implied team total, I think, on this slate. I also think and I can't remember who I heard talking about this like in an early week breakdown, and I don't know if it was necessarily this week. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. But the idea is if you think a team's going to blow them out and like you're worried that Josh Allen isn't going to necessarily play the entire game, they still have to get to 40 points or 50 points or however many points you're attributing to them before he gets benched somehow. And presumably he's going to be a large part of that. And so to your point about him sort of being blowout proof is, like Buffalo could win this game 40-7, but Josh Allen could still score 40 points. I mean, he could still throw 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns and be in the optimal. So
now, just to be clear, Deontay was chalk this last week, right? Or did he end up being the chalk we were projecting, or was he one of those guys that got steamed down? Because
I didn't actually go in to see where he finally came in at.
But he didn't really deliver, right? Like I didn't see him do shit. He didn't end up having a very good week, I don't think.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and double check. I don't. He didn't stand out. He wasn't in winners.
Yeah. So, I feel like this. If you're gonna run a Buffalo stack, you gotta love a Deontay bounce back after he let down everybody as chalk last week, right? Like, is that not like? I love the bounce back guys. Not just at golf, at football. You give me a guy that lets everybody down one week, I'll take him the next day. or the
And
next
it sounds
week.
like the Steelers are going to roll out Kenny Pickett at quarterback. So Trubisky sounds like his time is done in Pittsburgh. And so it could be interesting to see. Like there was a lot of preseason love for Pickett to Pickens.
Yep.
So that could be like a pretty interesting guy to roll out next week too.
Yeah, I mean, hold on. I was looking up his salary here, 4,300. Oh wait, no, that's Pickens 4,300. Pickett is 5,100. So there you go. Yeah, that makes a lot of lineups work. I think like I'm telling you, man, a real strategy to just consider, especially if you're playing in not huge fields, is just play good quarterbacks in stacks, right? Like play Mahomes, play Josh Allen, play Herbert. Just play the good quarterbacks and stack them, and that usually gets you pretty far. It's a pretty solid strategy.
Yeah, unless you're playing the really big field stuff.
Yeah, I'm talking like 2,000 people in less fields. It's a pretty good strategy to get there.
You just lock in a nice score.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of good quarterbacks, Justin Herbert actually looked really good last week. He was in a lot of my stacks. Problem was, Houston just didn't push the Chargers enough. Right. The Chargers looked very efficient. Got up early. Eckler definitely got there, who we loved. This game actually has a sneaky high total at 47.5. Is this a possible shootout game here?
Yeah, I mean, if Cleveland can carry their own, I think the concern is that the Chargers' defense looked pretty good, and even though Cleveland's offense has been pretty efficient, if they can't carry their own this game, I'd still be interested in this. I think Amari Cooper is a good bounce back candidate. I was super high on Amari last week, and he let me down big time. But it wasn't like through to injury or anything like that. I mean, I'm going to go back and watch the game, but from what I saw, it looked like his target share just was down. I don't know if he wasn't separating or if there just wasn't a lot of opportunities, or maybe Jacoby just wasn't operating as well as he had been in other weeks, or at least as efficient. But yeah, I like Cooper as a bounce back. And,
yeah, definitely. He's just like Deontay. He fucked everybody last week. He'll kill it this week. And if you didn't just see what I had on the screen there, both of these teams are top 10 in pace. So why does that matter? Because that means more plays. And if you're new to the game, more plays equals more chances to score, you motherfather. So this one, by the way, what we're doing here, new guy, is we're just formulating some thoughts, right? Just kind of getting the brain, the juices flowing, considering some games, some stacks, some things that we want to consider. But we're gonna listen to content this week. We're gonna analyze where the community's going, and then we're gonna reevaluate Saturday and make our final picks. That's what it'll be. The stream will be called The Final Thoughts, you motherfather. So check that out. This is just kind of a good brain exercise to see where we're feeling. So that's all we're doing here. All right, Houston, Jacksonville. Can I go back to
Jacksonville's been incredible?
It's because Trevor Lawrence is a god.
I mean, I'm not sure I can doubt you. They've looked really efficient on offense. I think in this type of game, I really like James Robinson. I like targeting this Houston team with a running back. And James Robinson's been pretty elite usage-wise.
Yeah, Christian Kirk let a lot of people down last week. He was getting a ton of targets. He just wasn't the same efficient Christian Kirk he's been the first few weeks. And I know for a fact he let down a lot of people that were playing him. So a Christian Kirk stack with Trevor Lawrence definitely interests me, and I kind of like bringing it back with Cooks. This is like two of those teams that I think people are going to overlook because they have this perception that these are shitty teams just based off of the last few years. And when it comes to fantasy, I don't give a fuck about that. Matter of fact, sometimes if they're crappy teams and they're showing that they're becoming more efficient on offense, that just makes me like them that much more.
Yeah, and I think Dameon Pierce, speaking of like efficiency on offense, he seems to have taken over that backfield. And
he good.
If you're playing Jag stacks, I don't mind a Dameon Pierce bring back.
Mm-hmm. Definitely on the early radar. But you know who's not on my radar and nor will ever be? The fucking Bears. Like they're so bad. They're so bad. Sell me on any.
So Justin Fields was interviewed. Someone said like, "Hey, why is the passing game not working?" And he said like, "Who said it's not working?" And they said the stats.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, sick burn, buddy.
Yeah.
Mostly the fucking analytics, Justin.
Yeah. These things called numbers. Man, here's the problem. Even if I was warm to Minnesota, and I feel like you always got to be warm to Justin Jefferson, right? You should always be warm to that. Or Kirk Cousins playing in the afternoon. He's way better at those games. Who the fuck am I going to run it back with? I mean, I guess Herbert, right? He's not a disgusting play.
Yeah, Herbert. I think you could go like cheap at the tight end and go Cole Kmet if like the thought is Justin Fields just doesn't have the ability to throw a downfield ball accurately, that he has to throw short balls. But if you think like Minnesota rolls, like, so I was thinking the same thing about that Buffalo game. And if you think it's truly a blowout and the other team isn't pushing pace at all, and you still want to play Josh Allen because you think he can get there in a blowout, or you want to play Kirk Cousins because you think he can get there in a blowout, like I'm fine not playing a greenback at all in those games. Like if your theory is that they can get there without the pace being pushed or without the other side, like, making it a true shootout type game, you're fine to play a bring back list stack. But just like have that thought in your head when you're going in is like how the game plays out so that it still works.
Absolutely. Hey, by the way, all you guys that aren't new, this is the Run the Sims. It's the best tool-assisted site out there. If you're wondering where we're getting all these cool stats and these optimizer rates, it's Run the Sims. You should check them out. They got you get 20% off for using my code DEGEN75, DEGEN75, and try it out. We've sent tons of people over there, and everybody loves it. Everybody is all in on it. So, and it's tremendous for Showdown too. All right, let's talk about the greatest offense in the history of football, the Detroit Lions. Are they going to keep it going?
It sounds like Swift isn't going to be back for a couple more weeks. I've heard possibly through their bye. I think that's week 6. So that'll be interesting. Amon-Ra probably should be back. I think his injury was thought to be pretty short term. So I think hopefully Amon-Ra will come back. But yeah, their offense just looks incredible coupled with like the league's worst defense. Now, I don't know that New England can necessarily take advantage of the world's worst defense. And if they do, it's like, who is going to be doing it? So that's where I'm a little concerned in terms of this game being a possible shootout. Is I just don't know that New England can carry their own.
I will say this: I'm warm to Patriots for the first time all year. Stevenson and Harris both have my attention. I just wish one of them would get the workload, and I feel like they would be an auto play, like it's just a smash play.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is I think I don't know which one of them I want to play. I think they have like very distinct roles, and they're both valuable roles, but I don't know that they're both valuable at the same time.
And I will say for New England, if this game does have any potential to shoot out, or not even shoot out, but just have like a nice solid total, 28-24, something like that, I feel like Devontae Parker would definitely thrive in that kind of environment.
Yeah, I just don't know Brian Hoyer's the man to get him there.
Now we're going to Brian Hoyer slander? What is going on with you today?
Dude, guys, I'm heavily age biased.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, he what do you call him, dust or whatever? Okay, we're moving on. Seattle, another god of offense. A lot of people were on them last week. I feel like this is a terrible spot for them on the road against the Saints. I pray that they get some ownership steam this week, and I will fade them and dance naked in the streets as I do it. What say you, John?
I don't mind playing the pass catchers in this game. I probably don't want to play the running backs in this game against the Saints, but we do have a dome game. Geno's shown the ability to make his pass catchers viable. So yeah, I probably like rolling out Metcalf, Lockett. Evidently, Will Disley is like the new tight end 1 in the league.
Yeah, no
so
kidding.
I think you could probably consider Will Disley also. I think he's got 3 touchdowns in 4 weeks. So
what about this? What about this Chris Olave air yards? Like I saw he legit has more air yards as a wide receiver than Justin Fields does as a quarterback. A truly incredible stat for heading into week 5 of the NFL. Like when a guy is getting that many bombs that frequently, like he's gonna get there, right?
Also, I think he's super talented. I think I was listening to, I think it was the Pro Fantasy Football guys talk about rookie wide receiver rankings. I think he's pegged just like slightly below Drake London in terms of prospect rating, and his prospect rating has just continued to go up.
He's below Drake. He's below Drake London. Man, that's
Drake London
to me.
Pops in every category. That dude's like a freak. He's going to be a Justin Jefferson type talent.
Okay, I don't believe you, but okay, I'll take their word on it. But I don't know. Give me Chris Olave. All right. What do you think about going back to the penny?
I would want to keep his ownership watch, but I don't necessarily love playing a back against this.
How the hell is he 5,300? What did I miss here? Like, did they not?
That's a great question.
Goodness gracious, he should be every bit of 6,000 in my opinion. He's a starting running back that's getting, he's almost getting bell cow type numbers. He's playing about 70% of snaps,
and on a team that wants to be run forward, or at least to the extent they're ahead, want to be run forward.
Yeah, and he's good. He's not just that guy that fucking just plows into the pile and gets 2 yards every play. Like he can bust some runs, as we saw.
Yep.
All right. Oh man. Jets of Miami. What have I told you every time we do this show, John? Every time I see Miami, my first thought is, ooh, this game could shoot out. Every time. And now I've got a Zach Wilson run back. Fucking sign my ass up for this game. I can already tell I'm going to lose too much money on this piece of shit game.
Yeah, but Tua's already out. It's going to be Teddy Two Gloves for Miami, so it's not quite the
You're going
same
to tell me
offense
Teddy
for Miami.
Bridgewater can't shoot out? You not remember his days? I can remember some
Teddy
touchdown
can shoot
games.
out, but I don't think his down the field ball is anywhere near what Tua's has shown to be for the first 4 weeks. But how about Tua getting rolled out there? That hit was something you never want to see. The way his hands curled up like that was
scary. It was scary. It was scary, is what it was. And I've heard upwards of 4 weeks he might be out. Right, like it was a severe concussion.
Yeah, and it sounds like, because I'm obviously no doctor, but it sounds like once you have that first lingering concussion, that second, like you do significantly more damage. So I hope he's okay. And man, that just sucks to see.
Yep. All right. So what are some pieces from this game you would be interested in? So you're basically saying Teddy Bridgewater is spoiling your whole interest in this game just because you don't think he's efficient enough to participate in a blowout?
I don't like Dolphin stacks because of that, but I think like it looked like, at least from when he came in relief in that game, he just locked onto Tyreek, and like that's going to be his safety blanket. So I think you could play Tyreek pretty comfortably as a one-off, or like as a stack with Breece Hall or Elijah Moore, or Garrett Wilson on the bring back, whatever. But I don't know that I love Dolphin stacks with Teddy Two Gloves.
I have a question. This is for a friend. I would never personally be considering this. My friend wants to know, if he were to stack Zach Wilson, do you stack him with 2 wide receivers, or is he the kind of guy you just want to skinny stack with one guy because he's going to have a hard time getting 2 guys there?
So this is something I've been thinking about a lot in terms of my general build strategy. And so when you have an expensive pocket passer, you almost always want to double stack because they need to get 2 guys there to pay off their higher salary. But when you have lower priced pocket passers, like here 5,300 for Zach Wilson, you don't necessarily need to double stack him, because you can make like a very ceiling lineup with him only getting 1 guy there. And I think with a low priced pocket passer, it is okay to single stack. I wouldn't necessarily force the rule.
But Zach runs a little bit. Like let's not act like he doesn't have a 40 or 50 yard rushing game inside of him, right? Like he's not like a true statue back there.
So even more so, a reason that a single stack is even more viable,
right?
For him then, because if you think he does have a little bit of rushing upside, it's even less of a need to double stack him.
All right. Atlanta, Tampa Bay. I remember for years when you saw Atlanta and Tampa Bay playing, you just moved all in on that motherfather game because it was shootout city every time. I got to tell you, initially, I'm really shocked to see Tampa Bay minus 8.5 point favorites. Not because I think Atlanta's good, but just I don't think Tampa Bay is very good this year. So what do you think?
So I didn't watch the Kansas City Tampa Bay game yet. I've only read a summary on it, but I will go back and watch it. I was at the Panthers game Sunday afternoon, and then came home and did family shit and didn't watch the game or play showdown or anything. But from what I read in the summary, it looks like with all his pass catchers back, the offense was significantly different for Tom Brady and the Bucs. Instead of being a run forward team that they have been in the first 3 weeks under Todd Bowles, it looks like they came out and at least like had an up-tempo offense, pass forward offense. I think Brady threw the ball 54 times. And so like, that's pretty interesting. Like if we think the theory there is that through the first 3 weeks, or the first 3 weeks, they were running so heavy and not throwing the ball hardly at all, was because, Evans was suspended. Evan got, kicked out halfway through a game, suspended 1 game. Godwin's missed all that time. Julio Jones is never going to be healthy again. Russell Gage missed time. So all these pass catchers have been banged up and missing. And so he was forced to throw to like garbage baggers, And so I think that was like a reason their offense looked significantly different. And so if we think week 4 is an indication that their offense is now trending back towards like a pass forward offense that we saw from Tampa Bay last year, it's pretty interesting to play the Tampa Bay side of the ball at home against a weak Atlanta secondary. And I can see Brady stacks, like Brady doubles, being pretty viable this week.
Brady, Evans, Godwin, run it back with Pitts. I got to tell you, that's already like my favorite initial thought build. Like I just want to be a believer that Tampa Bay is going to be back. And maybe I'm going to be wrong, but fucking, I know something. Getting Tom Brady at 6,000, if he's going to be passing and having his weapons, I love it. I love it. And when they're at home, they're just so much better than they are when they're on the road. That's my take.
Yeah. I think like that's a really sharp early lean, and as long as ownership doesn't get steamed, that as a stack I will be playing.
All right, so there's only 3 afternoon games again, and as we talked about last week, that really matters because a big thing that higher limit players do that novices don't do is they're not only late swapping, they're factoring in late swapping to their lineups when they make them, right? So they're like, hey, if this lineup is going this way, I can play these 2 guys in the afternoon if things aren't going well, or if I'm smashing and I feel very safe that I'm ahead because I played some low own plays, I'll go play these 2 chalkier guys in the afternoon. When you only have 3 games, that really limits the number of options, obviously, that you can do that with. Is there anything else that the 3-game afternoon makes you change your thinking on?
Well, this week, at least compared to last week, the afternoon games are at least a little more appetizing. I think we actually have like 2 pretty good games that at least have some fantasy goodness options. I think the Philly-Arizona game and the Dallas-Rams game are pretty interesting in terms of, I think Philly-Arizona will be the chalkier stack.
For sure.
So like you said, if you've done well in the early slate, you could play that stacks. But also I think you have like good pivot opportunities. You'll have low-owned pieces that still have upside in both of the other games. Especially that Dallas Rams game. I think the San Fran Carolina game could turn into like just the slowest pace, boringest fucking game on the face of the planet. Love you, Panthers.
All right.
But
hey, while we're right there, is there anybody from that game you like? I mean, Christian McCaffrey is definitely, he is out there more than any other running back on the field. He just seems like he's due for a 30-point week. Like, this has got to be the week he does it, right?
No, not this week. Not against the Niners. The Niners just looked like a smothering defense last night. Yeah. The usage for CMC is awesome. He got 9 targets last week. So like that usage in the passing game, as well as like handling 80+% of the running downs, is like great usage. But yeah, I think you're better off just running into a fucking wall than this 49ers backfield. So yeah, I'm good against playing CMC against the Niners.
What about Jeff Wilson? Does it just bother you how much Debo freaking vultures his carries? But 5,500 for a guy that I watched last night, he's pretty damn good. He's pretty good.
He's very good. I mean, he looked a little big. Like, I give Lenny for shit for being a fat ass, but like Jeff Wilson looked a little big. But I mean, he moves well, and like he was very good at falling forward. He was very good at picking up like 3 to 4 yards when he should have gotten 1. Like things you want to see from a back. And so, like I'm pretty in on Jeff Wilson. I think his like role is pretty unique in that he gets vultured by Debo, but like, that's it. There's no one else getting carries there.
And on that touchdown run he had in the first quarter, he looked explosive as shit. Like, he was, I was like, wow, that guy has a rocket up his ass. All right.
Dude, speaking of explosive, Debo just gets 1-yard screens and turns them into 50-yard gains. Like, it's the easiest fucking thing in the world.
When he fucking juked the shit out of Jalen Ramsey to score that touchdown, I was like, this guy's just different. Like, most people just get a 40-yard gain there. He gets a 60-yard gain and a touchdown and jukes out one of the 5 best players in the NFL. So, incredible. Yeah. All right, Jalen Hurts, just at my first glance, Jalen Hurts stacks, I'm in love with. Coming off the shitty weather game where he actually still played pretty decently. He just didn't score at all because, just the way the game worked out that Miles Sanders kept getting the touchdowns. But if you watch the game, Jalen Hurts was still a badass. Jalen Hurts was still moving the ball. He was still throwing the ball to his only 3 targets. Jalen Hurts, man, against the shitty Arizona defense, the only way I don't see him getting there is if just the touchdowns don't break his way again. And what are the chances that that's going to happen 2 weeks in a row where he doesn't get those rushing touchdowns or he doesn't get those passing touchdowns? How do you not play Jalen Hurts this week?
Yeah, I'm guessing Jalen Hurts will be the highest or like very closely to Allen in terms of projected quarterback. And I think his ceiling probably should be higher than Josh Allen's in this game.
Yeah.
So I think Hurts is like probably the best quarterback play on the slate this week. I think his ownership will probably end up reflecting that, but it's probably one I just can't get away from. This Arizona defense has looked incredibly just porous and bad. We're getting beautiful weather for Philly to go out and play. And like, as an aside, Jalen Hurts, like I saw him last night on the Manning cast. He's way smarter than I ever give him credit for. I guess I haven't seen him do a lot of interviews, but I mean, that dude's like a legitimately cerebral quarterback. Yeah. So I was pretty impressed with him.
And he has great work ethic. Like, he wants to be great. He works very hard at it. He's not one of those guys who just like, rest on his talent or whatever. Who would be your favorite stack with him? Like, if you had to stack one of his 3 pass catchers, who are you on this week? Because if you didn't see that freaking Devontae Smith regression happening, you're a moron.
Yeah, I think if you can afford it, I think AJ Brown is still going to be the alpha there all season long. I think they just have a different relationship. Even Hurts talked about last night on that Manning cast that like they've known each other for years before ever playing together, and they're like buddies outside. So I think to the extent like that off the field narrative stuff holds true. I think AJ Brown will still be his first target every time.
Who would you run it back with?
I think you have a lot of options, actually. I think the Rondale Moore usage was pretty interesting for his first game back. And if you could see his role continue to grow, that's like a pretty interesting role. I think Marquise Brown is probably your other like obvious, but I think if you're wanting to go Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, that's a lot of salary to then also try to stick in $7,200 Marquise Brown.
Yeah, why is he priced up? Why is he priced up so much?
I don't know. I think maybe the high over under in this game, they just expect you'll have a higher projection, but no, I think I prefer Rondell because the salary savings in that expensive stack. Or Ertz's usage has been also really good. But 4,800 is getting a little expensive.
I agree. He's starting to get up into like that upper echelon of tight ends when it comes to salary. All right, let's finish this last game and get the fuck out of here. We have got Dallas and the Rams. Cooper Rush is a decent quarterback, good enough that he makes the Cowboys' other pieces legitimate. We definitely, he got CeeDee Lamb kind of had like his lowest floor game he could have had last week. He could have had such a bigger game. But now he's priced up a little bit more, and he's probably going to have the Jalen Ramsey treatment. Is there anybody from the Cowboys side that you're interested in?
Yeah, I think Gallup just like stepped right back into his wide receiver 2 role. And you expect guys coming off injury to like have their roles slowly increase more, but he ran around on like 85% of dropbacks last week. I could see him move right back into he already did move into the wide receiver 2 role, but he could have like pretty interesting usage if you think Lamb's going to get blanketed. Yep. Also, Dak's already like eyeing a return, and I don't know that this will necessarily be the week, but we don't necessarily talk about.
I've heard 50-50. I've heard 50-50 that he's going to be back this week.
And if he's back, I like Gallup even more. I think they have a good relationship and good history together. I would be really interested in Gallup if Dak comes back, but I'd still be interested.
Just like we said last night on the stream for our Discord, Cooper Kupp, man, there's just no way you can't play that guy. How do you feel about him at week long? Can you eat that $9,600 salary when it seems like he has a 25-point floor?
The Dallas defense is really good. So, I mean, he needs to put up like a 35 burger to pay it off. So I'd probably be okay missing out. These super high priced guys, like it just makes your lineups that much worse. And they really need to put up outlier performances.
Let me give you one reason to not play Kupp. Matthew Stafford fucking sucks. There you go. That's the reason not to blame. He's just not as good as he was. That's the reason.
He's not good under pressure. I'll give him that. I think he'd be fine if he had time to sit in the pocket and pick apart defenses. I think that's probably within his wheelhouse.
Oh, so he's a 7-on-7 quarterback now. Great.
He looked very bad against pressure last night.
Yes, exactly right. All right, that is it. We're gonna start keeping these a little bit shorter. You be back here Saturday night for the live stream. Don't forget to go like and subscribe to the channel. It's blowing the fuck up. And if you really are interested and you are like, hey, what's this Discord you keep talking about? It's connected to my Patreon. Look at all these motherfathers over there. We do special streams for them, give them projections, ownerships, answer their questions. It's a great community over there, almost 300 strong. Come check it out if you want. Or if you just want the free shit, just hang out here on YouTube. That's cool too, brother. Don't forget my busy ass schedule. I'll be here all week, brother. Every day. If you like the cut of my jib, I got great news. You'll see this face every effing day if you so want to. I will warn you, some days it's golf and college football, so prepare yourself for that. It's been real, fellas. I hope to see you Saturday night, and I hope you enjoy my outro.